So quickly, I know we have just a few minutes. How did it go last week? Were you here?
Sorry. Yeah, no, and this is being recorded. Just that I started recording. It was good. It was Anika and Chanel, and they did they led the whole thing talking about I think like food scarcity, and thinking of like, and it was very much like advocacy, um, like heavy. So like a lot of the time they spent talking about the issue, and then people were doing letters.
Okay.
Um, so it was very action oriented, right?
Mm. Okay.
Um,
So let me know when you're ready, and you want me to let people in and
yeah,
all
I'm gonna
that.
give one more minute because there's two people, and if people are late, I don't want to restart everything. So I'm gonna give them like another minute.
I think it's just the two of us. The rest are still in the waiting room,
Yeah, there's like two other people.
so they won't get to see your message.
So it's fine, it will work. It just,
I said they are still in the waiting room there.
yeah. Actually, why not? We have Phil. Phil just came. Um, cool. Gotta get another one.
Should I let them in?
Give them one more minute. I'm gonna give them. So, oof. Well, yay. Good to see you. It's been a while. And
Mm. Yeah.
so, hi everyone. Welcome to Lost and Found. Good to see people's names and some faces. Um, yeah, we're gonna get started. This meeting is being recorded, just to give you a heads up. And I think I mentioned in the chat, but if you haven't already, if you could find a pen and a piece of paper, that would be great. My name is Marissa. I am the artist in residence for Lost and Found at PPF. So it's really good to have people here. Um, this, sorry, I'm gonna start. People are coming in. Yeah, so welcome. And I'm giving people a few minutes to come in. Like I said, if you don't already have a piece of paper and a pencil, that would be great. And like I said, this is being recorded. One thing I really want to emphasize for this Lost and Found is we're going to stretch just the conception of what we usually think about them. This is meant to be more arts and creative and oriented. So I want to acknowledge that. So please feel free to be as comfortable as you want to be, and I encourage people to stretch themselves, but also yeah, be like do what you need to do and participate as you want. One thing I also want to say is I'm also grateful for this space, and for you all being here today, especially. A lot is happening right now in the world, in our country, war, and it has been happening, but I think especially these last 2 days are especially hard. So I want to acknowledge that and hold that space with you all um, as we launch into this work together. So yeah, so again, please do as much as you can and as you want. But this is an invitation to think about imagination, joy, and the arts. Um, so it's meant to be playful and a deviation, perhaps, if you will, from other lost and founds. And I think of this as a way of seeing ourselves, seeing, and however you want to think of that way, um, ourselves and others during challenging times, and especially now more than ever. So to begin, I welcome you. I don't know if people remember, but if you ever see those, if you're walking in your neighborhood and you see like an advertisement for something, and then like someone's name and number, and you pull off a tab, right, of someone's name and number. So they're asking for a dog watcher or something like that, or like a babysitter, and then you can pull off a tab. This quick activity is meant to replicate that in a digital space. So I created a digital listing of things that people might need right now. So it's anything from pizza to coffee to the sun to a massage. And it's hard to pull off because it's a digital tab. But I'm gonna invite you silently to put in the chats anything that you think that you might need. So it could be something from the list that I provided. It also could be something that's not there. But I'm going to invite us all to just put in the chat a list of all the things, and you can choose more than one, of all the things you might need at this moment in time, as difficult and as complicated as it might be. So I'm going to give you all a moment, and you can just write in the chat. If you want to put your name and introduce yourself and where in the world you're located, you can do that. So I'll give folks a minute or two to do that. So thank you for people who are adding to the chat. I'm seeing that people need music, time for centering, peace and quiet, peace, community, me time and grace, joy, peace, phone call, justice, jokes, humor, swimming. So I hope at some point, perhaps after Lost and Found, that all of you will have the opportunity to do all these things and to be able to have what you need. But yeah, I just wanted to start us off with that and to gather us together in this space. So I have a few opening quotes I wanted to share with you. One is from Toni Morrison. And this is precisely the time when artists go to work. There is no time for despair, no place for self-pity, no need for silence, no room for fear. We speak, we write, we do language. That is how civilizations heal. So I want to center us today thinking about that is how civilizations heal, through the arts, through creativity, through the imagination, all these things that sometimes they feel less concrete than other needs the world might have, but also thinking about how important they are in our lives. I also have a poem I wanted to share with folks from Nathalie Handel, Ways of Rebelling. It's a lot, So I allow you to sit and think about it. Um, and maybe I'll put it in the chat in a moment, for you to think about more later. Because I know sometimes when I read poems, it takes me multiple times to think about it. But I will start. Um, who needs to be at peace in the world? It helps to be between wars, to die a few times each day, to understand your father's sky as you take it apart piece by piece and can't feel anything. Can't feel the tree growing under your feet, the eyes poking, night only to find another night to compare it to. Whoever heard of turning pain into hummingbirds or redbirds? Haven't we grown? What does it mean to be older? Maybe a house without doors can still survive a storm. Maybe I can't find the proper way to rebel, or damn it, I can't leave. I want to, but you grow inside of me. And as I watch you, before I know it, I'm too heavy, too full of you to move. Maybe that's why they meant when they said you shouldn't love a country too much. So again, perhaps I will put this in the chat, for you to think and think about what it means on your own time a little bit more, because again, I often have to sit with poems myself, but I wanted to open it up in this space. So I'll put this here. So as I opened up this time with you all, I traditionally identify as a visual artist. So I know in this group we have poets and writers and other different types of art. But I wanted to spend a little bit of time with you all today thinking about, maybe utilizing the visual arts a little bit more. Um, One way I think about art a lot, I love showing art to people, right? And especially beautiful art. I don't know if people know this, I also work, I, I'm a professor, adjunct lecturer of art education. So often I tell my students, I want to show you art. Sometimes you'll love it, and sometimes you'll hate it, and that's okay. But for me, the most important aspect of art and being an artist or looking at art is feeling something, whether it is strong or negative or positive. So one piece I wanted to show you and I hope people can feel free to, um, if you want to unmute yourself or you can continue to write in the chat, was a piece of artwork. I think it's especially pertinent thinking about migration and immigration. This mural is from an artist named Jess X Snow, captured by Eric Dale. So I actually, before I mean, say too much more, I wanted people to just share things that they see in this image. It could be something like, I see the color red. You could talk about figures you see, but I'm just going to give people 1 or 2 minutes to think about, what do you see in this art piece? And then maybe we can even talk a little bit about what these images mean to you. So yeah, anyway, if anyone wants to start, you can add in the chat or unmute yourself. What do you see in this particular image? What stands out to you, as striking of this image?
I see a loving companion, or a loving connection between two beautiful humans.
Thank you. Absolutely. Anyone else? Thank you, Cindy. I'm seeing growth in the chat. Thank you. I'm so glad someone mentioned this. Cynthia mentioned the use of negative space and layering. Mother Earth and child, people following the path of her bird slash tears. Any other comments? Again, it doesn't have to be an interpretation. It could just be something you noticed that we haven't talked about already. Creation interwoven in life.
What is the title of this artwork?
Oh my goodness. You know, I've showed this, I've shown this like 1,000 times, and I just like my mind is blanking. But I think it is, I think Mother Earth, or I can find it in a moment. Actually, before the end of this session I can show it to you, but yeah, some like I'm glad I will use this to just share a little bit, in the sense that it is meant to be a representation of Mother Earth, but also this idea of migration, right? So I'm super glad you mentioned actually the negative space, right? I've seen this a million times. I've worked with students, and it's interesting. Even though I've seen it multiple times, you always see something new, right? Especially with the use of negative space. So, um, you notice the flowers, the growth, the roots. But again, if you delve a little bit closer, and some of you have, you see, the kinship. You see the like multiple birds, right, flying. Oftentimes, like a symbol of migration, right? So I think of it a lot, especially in the context of everything that is happening right now. Thinking about families, we talk a lot about families being separated, right? But Jessex Snow as an artist who also talks about, like, what does it mean for families to be together? What does it mean for um, people? What does it mean for migration to be something that is natural and a part of life, and again meant to be something that ties people together. So, um, yeah, I will find the exact title. So thank you for mentioning that, because that does matter. But I wanted to give folks just a moment to just look at it and think about, what do they see, and also what are the things that you don't see, and what are the things that like come out later. So I even think about, like, I don't know if people can tell, but even the daintiest of lines, right? You see the eye line between the what presumably is the mother child, right? And you see like the connection of the birds, you see the people holding hands, right? So this idea of crossing borders. So yeah, I'll stop there, but I really appreciate this brainstorming that we've done together, and thinking about all this that one piece of art itself opens up. So thank you for saying that, everyone, and thanks, Cynthia, for asking. And yeah, and I love this piece a lot, because, like I said, every time I look at it, I see something new, and it brings out something new that we all see together. So, um, whew, thank you. I so next so I think we're stretching a little bit more. I'm gonna invite you all to stretch in a different way. And this is a little bit harder, but I think we can do it. So I'm gonna invite you in a second, and especially for folks who are artists or have done art before. Again, if you have a piece of paper, some of you are moving or traveling, and we'll figure that out together. But I'm gonna invite you, for people who are artists or and who are not. First off, I'm going to invite you to do an activity. You do not have to be an artist. You don't have to be good at this. And I do want to say that this is meant to be an activity that perfection is not required. It's not expected. So for folks that do draw, when and especially like even when you make even a first step before making a mural or making a drawing, people talk about contour drawings, right? So it's often just a simple outline of something. You're not shading, you're not doing detail, nothing fancy, but just the really strict outline of something. You can do it even with your own finger. And if you do a contour drawing that's continuous, this is where it becomes complicated. You're actually doing an outline of something without lifting your pencil or drawing instrument until it's complete. So it's a little complicated, but it's a practice that people do all the time, especially if you're an artist. So this is my invitation to you all, in efforts to see one another. I'm going to invite you to take your piece of paper, your journal, whatever you have available, and I'm going to put you in we haven't really done this yet with Lost and Found, but I'm going to put you into a room with you and hopefully one other person. And I'm going to invite you you can do two things. One is you can do a contour drawing, a continuous contour drawing with your partner. So I'm going to invite you to draw your partner on your piece of paper, looking at them without taking your drawing instrument off the paper. And if you have time and if you feel really bold, I'm going to invite you to draw your partner with your eyes closed. I know it sounds bizarre, I know it sounds complicated, but do your best. Yeah, so I'll leave it at that. So at least try to do one without taking your pencil off the paper. And again, there's no expected results. It is not meant to be perfect. In fact, it's not going to look perfect. So if that works for people and people feel like they can do this, I'm going to put you in a chat room, and I will do our best. If people are driving, we'll move people around a little bit. So, or we might even have a group of 3. We'll figure it out. So I invite you to be flexible, and we'll figure this out together. So let's see. I'm gonna do this for a second. No, sorry. Give me 1 second. I'm going to stop sharing. We're gonna put people into groups. Okay. Cool. Okay, so we're gonna put people into the groups, and if for some reason you can't, let me know, but I'm opening the groups now. Hello, I want to welcome everyone back. I also want to say thank you for folks that participated. I know it's not easy, and I know it's a lot to ask, but I'm very grateful for those that tried, right? And I know it's not perfect. Does anyone want to share, like, how did it feel to draw each other? What did, like, if any, you can go on mute, if off mute, or if you want to put in the chat, but what was that like, that experience? I also put, if you want, and you can see the screen, or how did it feel to be drawn? You can also share that if you want to.
I'd say it felt a little awkward, but not overly so. I had a very forgiving and congenial partner. That made it easier.
Absolutely.
No
Absolutely.
judgment.
Thank you. Anyone
Yeah.
else?
Kind of fun because we were all in the same boat. We all were just trying it out, just having fun with it.
Absolutely. No pressure, I hope. I mean, there's always a little bit, but any other thoughts?
It was interesting to me. I'm a really bad artist. I can't draw at all, but it was interesting to me. It was actually easier to draw something recognizable without taking my pencil off the page. Like, I don't know why that is, but
Did it bring up any emotions? And the theme of this today is like, did you feel seen in a new way by someone you might know, or someone you've maybe never met before? Someone mentioned awkward, which I think is a very real feeling. Is there anything else, that other emotions that brought up, or how did that feel like in terms of being drawn or drawn someone else?
For me, I think it helped me pay attention to my partner and notice even the tiniest details on her face. Yeah.
There's a level of vulnerability, right? When, you're allowing someone to see you, right? And every, the imperfections of our faces, if you will, and then also vice versa, right? I believe, I love this activity because it opens us up in ways. And I think about it, whether it is in a school or on virtual space, or even with folks in spaces maybe they don't want to be in, like being able to see someone and have enough care and thought to draw them, I think is very powerful. So that's part of this activity. And again, seeing all the intricacies of another person's face and to study them in such a way that you're trying to recreate them, I think there's nothing more powerful than that. So any other thoughts, any other things that we didn't talk about or mention that you might want to share? Or if you're feeling really bold, you can share what you drew with the group. No pressure, but if you want to, I invite you. You can put it up to the screen so others can take a look. It often helps if everyone does it together, but no pressure. Ah, cool. These are great. I'm seeing some of them. Oh, these are really cool. I love them. I also love hearing from people who are like, I'm not an artist, and like I see these beautiful pieces of art. Very cool. Absolutely. So, again, thank you all so much for trying and for having faith and to do something new. And again, for hopefully seeing others in a different light and to be able to just see someone, I think is really beautiful. So thank you for this for trusting in the process. As a follow-up, for today, we have a few other things. Today is relatively chill and shorter and flexible, but I'd love if maybe, and on your piece of paper or on your journal or something that's dear to you, just maybe take a moment for us to write down the different ways that we can. Again, I'm sorry, I don't. I'm trying to think of different ways to say this, but to see quotation marks people in our communities during times of crisis, during times of war, during times of like just travesty, right? What does it mean to collectively care for one another? So I'll invite you to just really just give you a few minutes to write. Can be words, phrases, you can draw if you want. And then maybe whoever feels comfortable, we can share a few of those, what you've brainstormed. So just what are the ways that we see people in times of crisis? What does it mean to collectively care for one another? And I'll leave the prompt up. And yeah, I'll just give people a chance to write or draw for a few minutes. And as we're winding down, if folks want to put in the chat some responses, or I invite you, of course, as always, if you want to unmute yourself, you're welcome to do so. But, you know, what are some things that came up for you, bubbled up in your head in response to this prompt?
In our area, it's really, really hot right now, and it will continue to be hot through October. And so water was the first thing that came in my head, water and maybe a fan, you know, a Mr. Fan, like a little handheld thing that you can pass to somebody, and if needed, food. But two things that came up for me especially, one is I preached this morning on the story of the man who was possessed by many demons. And the first thing Jesus says to him is, "What is your name?" I mean, he humanizes him, just says, "What is your name?" That is the civil thing to do to anyone. And I thought, that's, you know, that's such a statement. And then the other thing that came up was we had a gathering with an author, Bikonzi Mwase, who's a immigrant from Rwanda and Congo, actually, on the border between those two. And he was saying, you know, I hear a lot of people stressing, people who work in immigration ministries about, oh, they don't have resources, they don't have money, you know, he said the most important thing is just to be there, just to be present. And he said, that speaks volumes. You don't even have to be able to speak the same language, just to be there.
I was thinking of the creative ways that my community came together. We had a tornado that tore through south of town, and people just pitched in, thought of things that you wouldn't maybe think of otherwise. The restaurants opened to anybody who was helping or who needed a meal. Just the gifts of connection and community.
So I'm in close touch with colleagues and friends in the West Bank in Palestine. And what I've learned over the years, and it's reinforced in Palestine, is how important it is to see the strength and the resilience of others and ourselves in a time of crisis. But what my own experience has been in different parts of the world, but in Cuba particularly, and in Palestine, the resilience, the strength, and not only not seeing what's lacking, which is so hard sometimes when you come from a place of privilege. All you're seeing is what's lacking, and you're seeing the violence, and you're not, but that's not what the Palestinians are emphasizing. They're emphasizing the resilience and the hope, and not to minimize what's going on, but that the stance is one of hope and steadfastness.
I think a theme, if I may, that I'm hearing, and even in my own heart, is just like this kind of reinforcement of humanity, right? That everyone, like even for me, I recently was in Indonesia, and just being around folks and my friends who, or just have a great pride, and like I want to show you what my land is like. I want to show you my culture. I want to show you these things, and even sometimes where the things that I think maybe, or oftentimes the things that maybe I'm impressed by something else is different, but the idea is like, it doesn't matter because that someone's giving you the gift of sharing, right? So it's just like, and I also heard this idea of being present, right? Of witnessing. Um, so yeah, so I really appreciate all that you've shared. Even like what Cynthia mentioned, just honoring someone's name, right? Like, and like it sounds so simple, but it's oftentimes I think it is forgotten, especially when we think of the magnitude of people suffering, right? And how people become numbers, right? And statistics. And so thinking about, yes, we have to think about the severity of what is happening, but also recognizing the humanity in each of everyone's lives behind that. So that is something I gathered from this, and I appreciate you all amplifying and uplifting that today. Anything else? Anything else before we move on and sorry, we move and come into a close. Thank you. And I also just want to say I appreciate so much all of the ways, again, the unspoken and spoken ways that all of us and all of you um, see people in our communities and honor them. And again, that collective care that each and all of you do every day in your own spaces across the country. Um, Finally, I just wanted to invite anyone, if there's any prayers, anyone that you want to hold on our hearts today, related or unrelated, or something that just is in your hearts and minds that you would like to amplify. So as always, if you want to put in the chat, I can read them out loud, or if you'd like to share your own voice, you can do so. But I wanted to create that space before we close.
I'm grateful for the prayer that Presbyterian Peace Fellowship Executive Laurie Lighter Bright, I think I got that right. She sent out an email today, and that includes a really beautiful prayer. I'd like to lift that up and with gratitude.
Thank you, and sending prayers to everyone. Sending prayers to everyone in Iraq and Palestine, in our communities on the border, um, for loved ones, um, sons-in-laws and neighbors. Thank you. Um, Sending prayers and holding them all in this space. Um, And finally, I wanted to leave you with a quote. Oh, and also, I wanted to also leave you with, if you want to check out Jess X Snow, whose art piece, A Daughter Migrates Towards Mother Earth, if you want to check that out. This is also to, this is a piece that is created by Monica Trinidad, but a quote by Martin Espada. No change for the good ever happens without being imagined first, even if that change seems hopeless or impossible in the present. So I leave you all with that, sending love and blessings, and thank you for participating and be a part of the space today. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.